We but mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are to be found within us. If we change ourselves, the tendencies in the world will also change. This paraphrased quote from Mahatma Gandhi is the basis of the program you are about to hear. I'm Daedalian, and this is Shining Stars, a program dedicated to searching out and bringing attention to individuals and organizations that are fostering positive change within our community and within our world. Thank you for joining me here on Shining Stars. Today we will be talking about bringing more awareness to a sometimes overlooked population in our community. I'm talking about those diagnosed with ASD, or Autism Spectrum Disorder. Every April is a month that is dedicated to increasing the understanding and acceptance of people with autism. In 2017, the Greater Lansing Convention and Visitors Bureau, also known as GLCVB, began an initiative to highlight attractions in and around the Lansing area that are sensory friendly and tailored to those with autism. To talk about that in more detail, joining me in the studio is the Greater Lansing Convention and Visitors Bureau President and CEO, Julie Pingston. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
I appreciate you coming in and talking to me about what is coming up here with the Autism Awareness Month. You guys, of course, started this back in 2017, and it was the Center of Disease Control. They report that 1 in 44 children in the U.S. are affected by ASD. I've always been curious, I guess, from the perspective of I don't know too many people with ASD. And it is one of those things I do not quite understand. And I know that there are a lot of people that do not understand as well. So how does a non-autistic person better understand what it is like to have ASD? And before we get into this a little bit further, we're preferencing that Julie is not specifically an authority on this, but your involvement with the Greater Lansing Convention and Visitors Bureau has given you quite a bit of education in this area.
You know, it really has given me a lot of education. We started this program, like you mentioned, in 2017, and I was like you and knew very little about the huge population that has autism spectrum disorder or other neurodiverse issues that just make their mind work a little bit differently. And so it was something that we wanted to address as an entity for our destination, that we wanted to be able to welcome all people to our community. And so this is a big population to try to be able to welcome. And unfortunately, for what we do, we promote tourism to our community. And this population of people, it's really difficult to travel because many of the things that are difficult when you're on the spectrum are related to change and things being different and the unexpected. So one of the things that helps with that is understanding a community before you get there. And we spend a lot of time trying to make that option available, that you can go on a video and learn about this community before you get here. So you can understand that if I'm going to an attraction, I can watch this with my family and realize that there are going to be 5 stairs when I walk in the building and I don't like stairs, or there's some really big overhead fans. And that's for someone on the spectrum, fans and bright lights and unexpected things are things that cause them to react in a way that maybe some of us have witnessed, where you get that quote unquote meltdown. And like you said earlier, I am certainly not trained or an expert, but we've been able to work with our trainer, who has trained over 1,400 people in this community to better welcome our guests. And so some of the things I have picked up from her are those little nuances, those social nuances that maybe we don't understand, that if we could dim some lights or if we could take away loud sounds. And that's where a lot of the sensory friendly programming initiates from, is that you're offering the same experience in an attraction or something that's happening in the community, but you're doing it in a way that eliminates some of the unexpected and those startling type of things. Now, certainly the spectrum is very broad and very wide ranging of everyone that's on it. And so that makes it a challenge to meet all needs, but knowing going in what those challenges could be, you might then decide to go to something or not. And so it's been a huge learning experience for me in a very positive way, not just to understand people on the spectrum and what their needs might be if they're coming here to our destination, but in truth, all of us might have something that triggers us that is just something that's annoying or we can't tolerate or whatever that looks like, whether you're PTSD, pre-dementia, you have anxiety, all of those things are more prevalent today. And the same type of accommodations that are made for people on the spectrum affect a lot more of the population than we might have understood originally. So it's very broad.
So, and again, just to recap a little bit, just to give an idea, I always think of this electronic device that I have at the house, and it has this little buzz every time it's plugged in, and it drives me crazy. And it's very light noise, but that would be something that perhaps somebody on the spectrum, if they heard it, it's amplified.
Right. It might set them into, you might see people that on the spectrum wearing noise canceling headphones just for that reason. So they're out in public and people might look at them with curiosity or even, what are they doing? But that's then helping them function by canceling out those loud noises or those buzzings or the things that just trigger them and set something off for them that, we don't understand.
And it's just something in particular. So, and that's why the term spectrum comes about, right? Because might be that noise doesn't bother that individual, but bright lights do.
Exactly. And you don't know that. And when we try to be welcoming to all, you don't know what that means. And so the best scenario is to just be patient, be kind, and understand that you probably don't understand what is happening in their world and what they need to do to adjust to it.
Okay. And we will preface once again, Julie is not an authority on this, not a trainer, nothing like that, but just we're creating our own conversation in the goal of bringing awareness to autism. April is known as Autism Awareness Month. This has been around since 1970. And of course, as I've gotten older, it seems like it's become more and more prevalent. I'm seeing it more often. I remember it vaguely back in the 90s a little bit. That's probably when I first became more aware of it. What are the early signs of autism that people could look out for?
Again, I am not an expert. Let's make this all the way clear. But I've spent a lot of time trying to understand, and I think that's one of the big highlights that's come to my attention is when we started this work in promoting for this destination. It was 1 in 59 children were diagnosed on the spectrum. It's now, so 5 years later, 1 in 44. So the question our trainer gets a lot is why such a huge increase in that diagnosis. And I think that's why the spectrum is broad and that the early signs, people are looking for that now and understanding what to look for. And so that does make a difference in that early diagnosis and working to understand a little bit better. There's a lot more research and a lot more information that allows them to make some of those diagnoses and understand that if you start working with children early, that can help, bring them along in different ways. So
okay, could you tell me a little bit because I know you know the gentleman, and I'm going to probably say it wrong, Xavier de Groot.
So yes, I would love to talk about Xavier.
Xavier, yeah, thank you.
Got it. Yep, he is a person on the spectrum, and he has been an autism advocate for most of his life. Now that he's in an adult phase of his life, he's really able to make and affect change. And so he's worked with a lot of legislators, local officials to create actual legislation that has supported those on the spectrum for the future. And so he has recently opened a Autism and History Center in Meridian Mall.
Okay.
And it's first of its kind in the nation.
That is awesome.
Which is really great for our community, for one thing, to just really very visibly showcase that this community is tuned into the needs of those on the spectrum. And he's offering a place in the Meridian Mall, which, as you can imagine, has a lot of things that are unexpected, are bright, or, all those triggers. And he's created a sensory-friendly place where you can come, take a moment, regroup, play with some toys if your children are with needs for that, and then Also, one entire wall includes the history of autism, so you can learn a lot about it as well. So it's a small museum. One of his goals was to be a curator for a museum. So he's not only a curator for a museum, he created his own museum.
That is great.
And met something that
Awesome.
was needed, that now you can go in and understand that a little bit more. And then it becomes something that's not so foreign to the rest of us that maybe don't understand, or we hear of autism, like, what does that mean? I don't know. And so he's showcasing that very clearly.
Very cool. Well, I'm glad he's doing that work out there and making it a part of his life and making it a part of ours so that we actually get to know a little bit more about that. Do you know his website?
I don't know off the top of my head. I apologize, but Lansing.
Don't apologize. I forgot to write it down myself.
Lansing.org is our website, and it is on there. So when you look under Lansing.org, under things to do, we have a whole sensory-friendly page of information. And his website is there as well, along with some of our other partners like the Mid-Michigan Autism Association, and Able Eyes is another partner that I mentioned, those videos that you can preview and understand a community before you visit it, or an attraction or the airport or anything that you want to investigate prior to arrival. The Able Eyes videos are that tool to be able to access that information, and all of her, the founder, Megan Winters, all of her videos, over 80, I think, are on our page about the Lansing area. So that's, again, just good for anybody that wants to preview that. If you're in a wheelchair, you broke your leg and are on crutches, you kind of need to know, if you're going to go somewhere, what to expect. You know, if you go to the airport or go to the Breslin Center, you know, what does that look like for me with my specialized needs to maneuver and get what I need to do. So those are on our page as well.
Very good. And I used technology here and looked up his website real quick. It is Xavier DeGroot Foundation.org. But again, that is also available at Lansing.org. And tell me a little bit about the GLCVB. Of course, that is the actual organization that you're associated with. Tell me a little bit about the goal of GLCVB here in Lansing.
Absolutely. We are the organization here locally that promotes and develops this destination as a tourism, a visitor destination. So we want people to come here and enjoy our community, spend some money, and then go back home. So that they got to enjoy and then tell their friends all about what they did while they were here. So we've been in the community about 60 years, promoting basically all the attractions, things to do, all the festivals and events, and raising that awareness. But this program came to us related to the autism awareness, and why we got involved. It's probably not something that a lot of traditional convention and visitors bureaus might do.
It's awesome that you did.
Yeah, we just felt like, we say we're welcoming to all, but how do we show that? And so it started with the Wharton Center back in, they were going to show in 2018 the 100% sensory-friendly performance of Disney's The Lion King. And that was a great, wonderful opportunity for the community to invite guests from around the country for such a unique experience, where there was no judgment in a theater, where you hear so many stories of families that, you know, mom and son may go to see the show, but daughter who's on the spectrum stays home with someone else. You can't all go as one family, because if there's any kind of issue where someone can't remain in the theater, then everyone's looking at you and shushing you and asking you to be quiet. Where this performance at Wharton Center was going to allow all of that, allow you to get up, wear your headphones, bring electronic devices, because that is a calming thing for some people. So the Wharton Center set the stage, literally, and sorry. And so we met, and I said, we talked together, and we said, how can we now take advantage of all these people coming to our community? What else can they do? Let's not just have them come here for one show. What else can we do to build a weekend, build an experience, build a perpetual way for people to connect with our community? So Potter Park Zoo was an early adapter with their Falconers program. So they offer the monthly program for families to come out and enjoy the zoo off hours and in a more calming way. Abrams Planetarium has been involved, Impression 5 Science Center, Celebration Cinema, NCG Cinema. It's just everybody jumped on it. At the high point prior to the pandemic, we had 14 attractions offering specialized, specific, sensory-friendly programming in this destination to then allow us at the Convention and Visitors Bureau to put it all together and say, this is our community. Come here if you're looking to have this kind of experience that maybe you can't have anywhere else. So we've been able to talk about it nationally, and that's been very rewarding as well to try to get to spread that and have other communities do something similar. And so we felt like, some certain art museums or certain entities, attractions, Disney World, all those the big guns, definitely do these type of things. But to put it together as a whole destination was something a little bit more unique, and we're real proud of where we've come. So as I said, the pandemic kind of paused us a little bit, obviously.
Sure.
But we're
as it paused everybody.
I'd say, yeah, duh. And we're now coming back strong. All the attractions are almost back to offering what they've done, and then enhancing that as well. We've developed sensory toolkits, which is each attraction now has a bag or a backpack that you could check out when you walk in. And so you might walk through or be a part of the Lansing Art Gallery, and then you don't know that, oh, you know what, I forgot something for my cousin to fidget with while they're walking through, just to keep their hands busy and keep them engaged.
Right.
But this backpack has that. And so it has noise canceling headphones. It has other devices that just help your experience if you need that. And so that's another step that was taken collectively here, the trainings I mentioned. And then quite honestly, it just started spreading where a lot of the businesses that maybe aren't traditionally tourism centric started saying, I want to do that training. I want to understand my customers better. Such as Playmakers, CATA, they started getting involved. So we included them in how we promote and represent the whole destination, because people ride public transit. People might buy some shoes at Playmakers because it's, one-of-a-kind type of shop in our community. So it was just growing so beautifully, and then we got paused, but we're excited that it's coming back and reformulating and even doing it in new and different ways, which is very exciting.
Did you anticipate that it was going to be embraced so well by the community? I mean, I know that's a very general question, but it's one of those things where it's like, looking back now, did you realize you were creating such a positive change, I think is what I'm getting at.
I guess I certainly hoped it would.
Or your organization. I should give everybody the credit, I'm sure.
Right. There's certainly a lot of hands involved in this, not just me. But yes, I think we were going down that path. That my goal always was, a friend of mine whose son is on the autism spectrum, and she constantly said why she was trying to help me was that her son's 18, they could never do these type of things when he was young. And so how can we make it that that's not the case in our community? So how do we have it where families can go to something, all of them, such as Wharton Center or the Art Gallery or Impression 5 Science Center, and not leave people at home? So that was our wish, and I think that is the feedback we've been getting, and that's when I go to something and see that happening. That's when I get a little misty in my eyes and say, yay, it's happening. So that's what's gratifying and brings joy.
This, of course, is a rotating event each and every April. The Greater Lansing Convention and Visitors Bureau, that it's the Autism Awareness Month here in the Lansing area. You've mentioned a number of the organizations, and of course, any event like this, usually you've got rotating organizations that are going to be a part of it each and every year. And I realize this is kind of a different situation because we're just coming. Well, we're still not quite out of the pandemic, but
we don't know what we are.
We're all trying to get there. Have you gotten any new involvement this year?
We are just starting on that. We worked real hard at first to get all the ones we had to come back.
Right.
And so that's where we are almost there. And so some of them were just starting to, if they weren't offering a program or something that they did as a one-time event, now maybe they're doing it 4 or 5 times a year, or they're adding it monthly. So many of these, even though we're celebrating Autism Awareness Month in April, the activities, most of them are monthly. So you can do this, be part of these sensory-friendly activities as a visitor or community member throughout the year, which is what gives it lasting, that longevity and that power to always be available.
Very cool. And we've preferenced several times that you, of course, are not an authority or educator on it, but it has been great having this conversation with you. You've helped me become more educated, so that was good. Hopefully we've done the same for others. What would you recommend to somebody who does want to find out actual professional opinion on any of this information? What would you recommend?
So the Mid-Michigan Autism Association has some great resources, and that's mmma.org, I believe.
And you said you had a link on.
And that is also on our website. And quite honestly, we're so fortunate in this community that Michigan State University does have a autism clinic. That's going to be where my knowledge is a little shaky, but they have a lot of resources there on campus that helps at all levels. So that's a good resource as well.
All right. And again, your website address is lansing.org. And this is Julie Pingston from the Greater Lansing Convention and Visitors Bureau here in the area. And we're talking about Autism Awareness Month. So if you get a chance, please check out what they have to offer. We're going to finish out here. And I want to thank you, first of all, before we do finish up, for putting this together, helping the awareness come about, and doing everything that you guys do at the GLCVB, not only for this, but for everything else that you do here in the area. All right, final question of the day. If you had the ability to snap your fingers and put one thought into the collective consciousness of the entire human race at the same time, what would that be?
So that is just a great question, and I can answer it in two different ways, I think. One tied to what we're talking about today, and one to what I do every day also.
Okay.
So the words I would snap in everyone's brain is be kind. I have a t-shirt that actually says that, and that's with autism. It's just like, be kind, don't judge, just understand that someone's going through something that you might not understand, and maybe offer to help if you see, I use the example because it happened to me and I saw it happen, was people were checking into a hotel, a family, and they were traveling, and there was the meltdown, like the kid on the ground, just uncontrollable really, and the parents obviously knew exactly what to do and how to handle it, but just, we offered, is there anything we can do? And sometimes the answer will be yes, sometimes the answer will be no. Just know that too. You don't have to insert yourself, but how can just offer that kindness and take that moment. And that is also then my message related to the universe of, I represent the hospitality industry, and there's a lot of struggles in our world right now because employment and workforce is just very limited right now in finding enough people to work in the jobs. And so the ones that are working extraordinary hours, they're being asked to do a lot of things that maybe they didn't do before. And the kindness needs to go to them, because just be kind. We've had so many, a server get yelled at because the kitchen is slow because there's only one cook back there. And so the server gets yelled at. So what are they going to, they're not going to stay and take that, they're going to quit too. So that's the problem. It's like a self-perpetuating thing that we just need to be kind and get through this so that our industry can come back stronger. So the be kind is my word of the day.
It's excellent answer. And I can tell you, as somebody who has been in the service industry, that and as much as you try not to carry on that negative vibe, but somebody gives you a little bit of negative vibe, all of a sudden you end up letting that out of yourself. But the amazing part is when somebody was kind or friendly to me, even when I was in that negative mode, all of a sudden I found that I passed that on as well. So be kind is a wonderful and awesome message. I have a
t-shirt that says it. So
well, thank you, Julie, for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Remember, we can all contribute something good to this world, no matter how big or small. A simple smile, a friendly gesture, that's all it takes to expand the power of positivity 1 inch further. I encourage you to find your shining star within by being the change you want to see. Thanks so much for listening to Shining Stars and, of course, sharing your time with me today. I'm Daedalian, and you can listen to this episode of Shining Stars on demand, along with other LCC Connect programs at lccconnect.org.